Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be here and close the block of presentations on the family and family law in Central Europe. We all know that we have so much in common, not only due to political reasons, Soviet family law influence and so on. We all know that families, family life and family law look like very different 50 years ago. It was traditional, marriage-centric family law with fixed perceptions of gender roles. However, there were big changes in Europe or everywhere later on. Even these days, there are changes. The portrait of family has been changing, which is reflected not only in the Czech Republic, but in legal orders of different countries, as well as in the case law of the European Court of Human Rights and other human rights courts. To illustrate the point, I'm going to start by talking about the situation in the Czech Republic in more details. The question I pose to myself is whether the Czech lawmaker reflects the changes in family and family life adequately, and where there should be more legal innovations in the future. I hope I won't. Yeah. So, regarding family and family life in the Czech Republic, please have a look at the chart by the Czech Statistical Office based on accurate statistical data. You can see the proportion of the children born out of wedlock. It's almost 50% in the last couple of decades. It's quite a lot in my opinion. However, this chart and the numbers say nothing about these children and their families. I guess that many of them are at risk, as my colleague spoke about it. Some children are born to single mothers who live alone, just with the child. Some mothers live in one household with the legal fathers of these children or with other men or women. Some mothers of these children will marry their fathers later, others will not. It can be interesting to look back into history, especially to the communist period. You can see that the number of children born out of wedlock was rather low. It was about only 8%. As I have already mentioned, family law was marriage-centric at that time. However, there has been no discrimination between children born in and out of wedlock since the late 40s in former Czechoslovakia. So let me give more details about the legal concept of marriage and registered partnership and about only limited rights and duties of the couples living in de facto unions and about their children. Yes. So the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedom as a part of the constitutional order provides protection to the family as such without specifying it. Indeed, like the Convention for the Protection of Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms. However, the Civil Code provides that marriage is a permanent union of a man and a woman. So I can say that Czech family law, according to the Civil Code, is still very marriage-centric. As far as I know, it's the same in Poland and Slovakia. As I mentioned more times in this floor, there is a pending draft in the Parliament of the Czech Republic which should bring significant changes to the legal order marriage for all. I would like to add that there is the Act on Registered Partnership from 2006 as well, which regulates status relationship between the same-sex partners. Unfortunately, the regulation of the same-sex relationship was not included into the new Civil Code due to political reasons. And the main authors of the new Civil Code intended to regulate all the family models in one code. They were not successful. So people of the same sex are allowed to enter only into a registered partnership, which is a status relationship according to special acts. And rights and duties are quite limited. Regarding people who do not want to get married or registered, their legal protection is even more limited. If there is no contract between them, civil code does not protect the weaker party too much, especially the single mother with the child after separation, the death of the child's father, and so on. And I think that it's a big problem. I would like to add that thanks to the case law of the Constitutional Court of the Czech Republic, very important changes to family law have been already made. And I will tell you more details. Here we have the concept of marriage according to the Czech Civil Code. You can see rights and duties of spouses. The left column shows personal rights and duties of a husband and wife. They are simply traditional. I'm not going to read them. The right column lists property rights and duties of spouses. And the key institution of property rights and duties is community property. What can I say? It includes what one of the spouses has gained or what both spouses have gained in the course of their marriage, with some exceptions. I must say that this concept protects the whole family members during the marriage and even after the divorce or death of one of the spouses. This concept is very pro-familiar, and it's not only about marital property law, but about the whole family law. Beside community property, it's very important that there is the concept of maintenance duty of the spouses, and they should have the same living standard. And there are, of course, the rules regulating post-divorce maintenance. Besides, there is statutory protection of the family home, which is quite new. It was brought by the Civil Code. For instance, there is a common tenancy of a flat by operation of law, the concept of the things forming a common household, and very strong protection of family dwelling. Regarding registered partnership, as I already mentioned, registered partners have very limited rights and duties. So what is important? There is in fact only mutual maintenance duty and surprisingly statutory inheritance, like between couples, married couples. And problem is that there are seldom contracts between the partners which would solve a lot of problems, but they don't think about things like that. De facto unions. As I have already mentioned, the Civil Code doesn't provide any catalogue of rights and duties of de facto partners, and the standard of protection of so-called weaker party in de facto unions is much lower in comparison with marriage couples and registered partners. There is no community of property, no protection of family home, common household, and so on. And unfortunately, there are seldom agreements on important issues. What is very good, there are special provisions that protect the mother of the newborn child. The Civil Code provides property claims of the non-married mother from the child's father for a reasonable time and within adequate limits. It's provided that if the child's mother is not married to the child's father shall provide her with maintenance for 2 years from the birth of the child and provide her with a reasonable contribution to cover the cost associated with pregnancy and the childbirth. Regarding the child, the maintenance towards the child, if the fathership is established, there is no discrimination between this child and children born into the wedlock. There are pending drafts. I have mentioned them many times in this floor before. This issue has been discussed for 6 years in the Czech Republic, and we will see at the final decision. It will be up to the Polish politicians. Regarding the first pending draft, I would say it's influenced by Polish or Slovak legislators. In my opinion, the first one is very conservative. The Article 32 of the Charter of Fundamental Rights provides that parenthood and the family are under protection of the law, and if there would be amendment, there would be written that family will be protected and marriage would be described as an union of a man and a woman. And there is another pending draft which should introduce marriage for all. So we will see how it will work. The problem is that, as I mentioned before, that there are no proposals how to improve the situation of de facto families, the families with children, where simply there is no community property, no protection of family home, and so on. And quickly, I would like to tell you something about the concept of motherhood and fatherhood in the Czech Republic. There are a lot of problems connected with this issue. The regulation on motherhood is quite simple. It's regulated by mandatory rule that the child's mother is the woman who gives birth to the child, and simply it's quite easy rule, and Civil Code does not recognize the possibility of a woman to give birth anonymously and thus, let's say, escape from legal parentage, in contrast to the situation in some legal systems. Assisted reproduction is not mentioned at all in the Civil Code, and there is a special act on specific health services, and this act provides that only infertile couple can ask for assisted reproduction. We have some problems connected with motherhood. In general, people who have children, they do not want them, and people who have children who do not have children would do anything to get them at any cost. So we have quite strange situation in the Czech Republic. There is the special article which regulates that the child's mother may declare that she does not intend to care for the child, and we speak about hidden motherhood. And the problem is that the child has the mother, and the identity of the mother is hidden. It's in the envelope, and there are not cases. In a poor theory, the child can have asked the envelope to be opened, but there are not cases. And this child cannot be adopted quickly because this child has a mother. So it's a problem which was inspired by French law. Beside that, we have reality of baby boxes, like in Poland, Germany, and so on. We are strongly criticized. Czech Republic is strongly criticized by the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child. You can see the numbers. but general public and even some experts tolerate the abandoning of unwanted babies. The situation of these children regarding adoption is quite easy because they are free for adoption, but question is who would adopt the child without identity, without background. No cases, no, I can't tell you about any cases. We don't have children who would ask at the court to have legal mothers and fathers, because simply the mothers who would like to deliver child and leave the child at the baby box, she is pushed to leave to have the child delivery in anonymity somewhere, and these children don't have chance to discover who is or was the mother. Another thing, the Czech Republic is facing reality of surrogate motherhood. It's not regulated in the Czech legal order. It's not prohibited. There is only one sentence in the Czech Civil Code. You can see it. It says that adoption is excluded among persons related in direct line and between siblings, and this does not apply in the case of surrogate motherhood. So this is the only way how intended parents could obtain the child. So the adoption is the only way, and I would say this concept in fact is in harmony with advisory opinion on gestational surrogacy abroad in order to establish the legal parent-child relationship by the European Court of Human Rights. Here I have something about the concept of fatherhood in the Czech Republic. The legal regulation is quite easy, it's quite simple. There are three rebuttable legal presumptions like in other legal systems. The first one is based on marriage, second one is based on mutual consent, and the third one on sexual intercourse. I'm not going to read it. I would like to tell you something about problems connected with fatherhood. So many problems connected with fatherhood were solved by the European Court of Human Rights and by Czech Constitutional Code. Here you can see that legal fathers who were established against their will in, for instance, 70s, 60s, now they are allowed to open the cases and release from legal fatherhood. The second point, very positive one, thanks to the case Keegan versus Ireland, the Czech Act on the Family and Civil Code were adapted to this case. And this new regulation protects rights of putative fathers. It means that they can, even against the will of the mother, apply for the fathership. So you can see that some people don't want children, don't want to be connected with them, and some yes. And the problem is that children are not much involved in these procedures. So nobody asked them, although in pure theory they are parties to the procedures. There are quite a lot of problems in the Czech Republic connected with same-sex registered partners. As parents, they have no right to adopt a child together, and of course they want children. And here I have two decisions by the Constitutional Court of the Czech Republic. The first decision is connected with a prohibition of adoption. So thanks to the Constitutional Court, the sentence, the rule that continued partnership impedes one of the partners from becoming the adopter of the child. It was cancelled as unconstitutional. I can explain more in discussion. There is second one, which is connected with man who obtained a child abroad thanks to surrogate motherhood, and the Constitutional Court decided that the Czech Republic, so the Supreme Court, should recognize the civil status of the child born abroad if there is a blood relationship. There should be harmony between biological, social, and legal parenthood. And this ruling, this decision by the Constitutional Court is followed by the Supreme Court of the Czech Republic. And I think it's a good practice, but of course, not everybody would see it like that. Here I have something about adoption and parental responsibility, which would be for a long discussion. So I would like to conclude my presentation, not to speak too long. It's not easy to describe family and family life in the Czech Republic. The statistical data might help to illustrate the point. However, we don't have enough research, literature, and so on. In general, there are less and less marriages in the Czech Republic, like everywhere, and a lot of divorces. Regarding natality, fertility might be interesting that we have 1.7 in the last decade, and it's less than in communist past, which was, for instance, in 1989 1.9, but for instance in the year 2000 it was only 1.1. In addition, as I mentioned, some children are unwanted and left in baby boxes. It's really very bad practice. Some children are abandoned by their mothers in the hospitals, and not every child was adopted. Almost 50% of children were born out of wedlock, and of course it creates a lot of problems for single mothers, not only property problems. A lot of children are legally or socially fatherless, and of course we can speak about poverty and disadvantage. Besides, there are same-sex couples who would like to have children, and they use surrogate motherhood, especially abroad. And some questions are still taboo, for instance, assisted reproduction for singles. As I have already mentioned, the Czech de facto families would need more protection, but by law, for instance, co-ownership of the things forming a common household by operation of law, and protection of family dwelling, and unfortunately these issues are not discussed at all. There are no pending drafts. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope I was on time.